¿Qué pasa, campeones? Welcome to the Churros y Tácticas Podcast. It is Monday, the 24th of January, and we're here for all of our listeners to break down the latest around Spanish football with a focus, of course, upon the two giants that are Real Madrid, as I like to call them, and
Sevilla.
Football Club Barcelona.
Oh, my bad.
Oh. Is there somebody interrupting my intro monologue? I forgot.
No, sorry. Yeah, I shouldn't have done that. I apologize.
Follow
big
code
week
of
for
ethics.
you. Big win over
Code of ethics. I do not interrupt you during your opening monologue. Please respect. Please respect my little opening monologue. It's not often that I get to do this nowadays, Kiyan. Please. So, yes, for what has been... So, the focus on Real Madrid and Football Barcelona, for crying out loud. Focus, and the reason why, of course, I get to do the intro, because it has been a big weekend for the institution that is Football Club Barcelona. Because not only did Xavi pick up 3 vital points in our chase for our primary objective, which is to follow, to end the season in Champions League spots. Wow, Real Madrid dropped some points, which, you can call dropped or gained a point. I don't know which way you want to see it. We'll discuss that. But also, we've been smacking Madrid's ass in the ACB League. The Clásico was a thriller. Basketball, yes, it is a big sport here, Kiyan, despite your surprise there. A lot of people do follow basketball. And there was a Clásico yesterday. And it was fun smacking your boys around. It was a tightly contested one, though. It went down to the wire a little bit.
Did we get a moral victory at least? We were only down by 2 points at halftime.
No moral victories. Pablo Lasso is paced, and the two Nicos making their return to the capital was Nico, that mean Mirotic and La Provitola, of course, was fun to see. All right. Anyway, and not to take anything away from the women's. The Spanish Super Cup final, smacking Atletico de Madrid around the face a couple of times, 7 times, beating them 7-0 in the final. So big, of course, win for the women's team that pick up, I think, their 17th or 18th title. I mean, it's insane. These girls have got a strong hold on women's football, at least in Spain. Let's hope can continue the success on the European continent too, because they're beasts. And there you go. Kiyan, over to you, my friend. Thank you. This was fun. I'll speak to you again in a month from now.
Well, is this the first time, like in a long time that I can remember, that there's not really that much off-field drama to talk about with Barca? Like, we're just going to talk about football? I was looking over, like, the talking points today before we hit record. Checking the news, I was just like, I think we're actually going to just do maybe mostly Tácticas today and less Churros. I don't know, unless I'm missing something. Did anybody get in a fight over at the Camp Nou?
No, well, the only drama is of course, the relapse of Ansu Fati's injury. That is
which
definitely
we discussed last podcast.
Oh, you mean to discuss on a pod? Right. I'm just saying that still has our morale dampened, and the fact, of course, and let's be honest here. And now, we'll cross over to the Tácticas because we've got nothing to celebrate when it comes to the men's team. I mean, that 1-0 victory, as vital and as crucial and as important as it was, of course, to leave before the international break, the third one. On somewhat of a high, at least with 3 points in the bag before confronting this very demanding month of February. It starts off with a mammoth clash against the current league champions, Atletico de Madrid, followed by a derby, followed by the 2 games against Napoli. I mean, it's February is crucial for our league campaign and our future in Europe, obviously. And so at least heading into the month of February with the 3 points was important, but that's all that we can, the positive we can take out, because as Xavi very well said, my V's are W's, very well said, and Frankie and the whole team, it's good to see them practice autocriticism and demanding more and better from the team, because it was not a performance to be jubilant about.
Well, no. I listen. That was the Alaves game was like borderline Peak Atletico Madrid boring for me. That was a hard one for me. I had some complaints about that.
It's fair.
But look, before we go any farther, we should note that this entire show is possible because of our sponsors, Manscaped. Use code Churros, CHURROS, only 2 R's, CHURROS, over at manscaped.com for 20% and free shipping. Diego and I have a really beautiful kit that we use. We use the ball deodorant, the ball toner. After we do the manscaping themselves, the Manscaped itself is waterproof. You can do it in the shower, and also they have like the new one actually comes with a flashlight and everything. Yeah, it's I don't think it's meant to be like submerged in water, but certainly like you can use it in the shower.
Well, I don't think I wouldn't use it like in the bathtub if that's what you're referring. It's not one of those kind of toys. It's
it's not like a submarine, but. It can definitely handle some.
Hey, the flashlight is good. It really gets those nook and crannies, huh? Looking
the places where light does not
from different
enter.
angles.
Yeah.
Places where the sun hasn't shone a whole lot.
That's what Manscaped is here for. They make the impossible possible, and they make grooming quite smooth, Diego. Right? So Churros,
really
CHURROS.
It's fantastic.
Use code Churros over on Manscaped.com. So Diego, what did you? I was curious though. Did you have like a thought process when Elche were up 2-0? Were you like, nah, this is not happening. I'm sure Real Madrid will find a way, some bullshit way.
Of course.
Or were you like dancing in your living room? Like, what was your?
Yes. No, I was in the newsroom preparing for the show. Because of course we were playing right after, and I had to cover the game. So we had the game on, and we all knew that Madrid was gonna make a comeback. I mean, that was like if we could all put money on it, everyone would have voted for Madrid is gonna make a comeback. I'm surprised they didn't win. I'm like, oh shit, they still drop 2 points. So that's the silver lining. But and mind you, I'm preparing for the show, so most of my attention and focus is on that, even though the game is on in the background. I'm not going to sit here and say I got a good sense of, how Elche went up 2-0. I'm waiting for you on this one to hear, if they were that bad. And of course, you guys played each other in the cup. So this was a repeat of a back-to-back, let's say, between these two sides. And Madrid, I can imagine them feeling relaxed about having just faced them in the cup and feeling that they had this one in the bag, put it that way. Led 2 goals in and then, went into next gear, 5th gear, 6th gear. Pull out 2 goals and tie it up.
Well, also they were going into the second game returning with the return of a bunch of starters that weren't playing in the Copa del Rey game. So I think maybe there was also some confidence in that aspect as well. First of all, respect to Elche. I think they're a smaller team who have given us problems for a couple years now, and they do it in a different way. They don't sit deep; they sit in a higher block. They try to play some football, or at least try to defend a little bit higher up the pitch. Now, having said that, they had a whopping 3 shots yesterday against Real Madrid. 2 of them resulted in goals, and the third one was like from 40 yards and had no chance of being in the back of the net. What was my thoughts? I actually, funny enough, and not even like, usually I'd be like trying to jinx it. I'd be like, man, we're not coming back from this. I actually really felt, even at 2-0 down, I was like, I think we're doing things right where we can actually come back from this, because this was a performance where I didn't think we were bad. I thought we were actually really good. In fact, I thought the Bernabeu itself was quite lenient and happy with the performance, even despite going down 1 goal, 2 goals. They were cheering every touch. They were really happy. They liked the football they were seeing. Vinny was in attack mode. Hazard was playing pretty well. And the team had a lot of good possession in the final third, and they were doing good things to break lines. Ferland Mendy had an awesome game. And they were doing things well. They were just missing chances, and that's what it came down to. It's like, you missed a bunch of great chances. You made 2 big defensive mistakes, both resulted in goals. And I was like, obviously super disappointed. Like, I didn't really look at it as a remontada. I looked at it more as like we dropped 2 points, to your question earlier. I thought, as good as it is to come back and from 2 goals down and tie it, I think obviously we don't want to draw against Elche at home. That's one we schedule as a W with all due respect to them, because we schedule almost every game as a W regardless of who it is, because we need to. That's the margin of error for league titles is that low. That's why we haven't won as many league titles. So we need to schedule these as a W and actually get the job done and execute it. But so it's more disappointing to me than having like this, being excited about a remontada of sorts, But it was the football wasn't bad. It was just, when you look at the process, I think Real Madrid played well, got a little bit of bad luck. And to be quite honest, even like Benzema missing that penalty, it shouldn't have been a penalty in the first place. So it's like one of those ball don't lie situations where you're like, well, I feel better actually because I don't really want to score that penalty if it's not a penalty. You know what I mean? So it was a good performance. I think we can move on from. Now, more concerning, Diego, was moving forward because Benzema's injury, hamstring.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. It's
Vinicius also suspended for the next game. So we might be
has the club come
both.
out? What's the club's official diagnosis or statement on it?
Club has not officially come out and said anything. But from reports, he's probably going to be back just in time for the Copa del Rey game against Athletic, which means it's not as bad as we thought it was going to be. So when he asked for the sub, he felt like he wanted to do it as a precaution. He comes off the field. It's a similar area to the one against Real Sociedad where he also left with an injury earlier this season, but not exactly in the same area from what I understand. It's a different part of the hamstring. And so it's not a relapse, which is good news, because if it's a relapse, it's bad news, because that means it could be a lingering thing that could take longer to heal from. But it's not a relapse.
Like Ansu.
Yeah. So my guess is that he might be clear to play against Athletic, but they won't risk it because we have PSG right after. That's what I would do anyway. If he's back for Athletic, I'd be surprised if he plays it, just because it'd be kind of risky right before the PSG game, because we all would rather him available for PSG than Athletic, as close as we are to this Copa del Rey thing that we never win. I don't want to risk him.
So he would be back in confidently, fairly confident for the PSG game. According
to today's reports, yeah, he should be okay. So it's not as bad as we feared.
Why has the club not come out and said anything?
Club, this is not that abnormal for the club not to say anything until they're absolutely sure, because they're gonna. What the most they'll say right now is usually something like, "This is the part that's been injured," but they won't give a timeline, or they won't really. So I think they just usually in cases like this, they just kind of keep it hush hush until they know for sure like what's happening.
No,
I'm not too surprised with that.
I feel that we always give an estimate, though. I mean, there's margin. Maybe not in all cases. Actually, I think now, having said that, now with Ansu's relapse, there has been no time frame whatsoever. Mind you, well, you talk about no drama, but the ongoing saga between Dembele and Barca is pretty juicy, my friend.
Has there been updates?
No shows and.
He hasn't showed up to training. Oh, because he had a gas problem. Stomach
problem. I got some gas.
What
I
was
can't
it?
come to work today.
I think he had like a stomach problem, and then the club didn't believe him or something. That's what
they didn't believe it? Yeah. They didn't. We didn't. Nobody believes it. For fuck's sake! Come on, let's be honest.
Yeah. Also, there was.
But it was funny though, because the official comunicado, at least, was very sarcastic. I don't know if you read it or read the tone.
No.
It was. They actually said he was a no-show. Apparently, because gastroitis.
I think that's what I was trying to say. But I hate saying that word. So
I think you were saying something else. Yes. I mean, it's getting to just absolute, ridiculousness, and very unfortunate as well, may I add. Some people are saying, in Spanish, there's a saying, que mal empieza, mal acaba. What starts bad ends bad, finishes bad. And they're all alluding to, the way in which he forced that move from Dortmund to come here. Take of that what you want. I mean... No.
Can I ask you something? If let's say you
What?
could, you know everything you know right now. It's 2022, but someone put you in the time machine, and you already knew what was going to happen after Neymar was sold. You could take that money. What would you do with it now in hindsight?
Oh, baby. I'll tell you what, right off the bat, Mbappe will be wearing that beautiful Blaugrana, man.
You think
Mbappe will be wearing that.
What? So you're going to just tell PSG, thanks for the Neymar money. We're going to give it back to you for Kylian Mbappe? He's not going to say yes to
he
that.
would. Dude, you're talking about when Neymar went from
was he
Barca
at Monaco then?
He was at Monaco then.
But I think
had
he
him.
had already
We had
signed,
him,
wasn't he? He was already
No,
signed
he
before
didn't.
Neymar, though. I think.
No, he wasn't.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And we had him, like Minguella, a very famous, call him an agent, call him directivo. He's been involved in Barca. He's made signings happen, such as the original Ronaldo and Rivaldo. He was involved in anyway. Back since the Cruyff days, old school guy. And a very entertaining guy, may I add. He's a great storyteller. But yeah, I mean, he tells, he's been around for years now, saying, I had Mbappe ready. Like there were agreements in place. Even the family, Mbappe's family was, willing to make the move happen because they wanted to move away from Monaco. Didn't see PSG as an option, and apparently Real Madrid wanted him to stay another year. It was that typical. It's not the first time we hear this, where one of the other clubs is asking the player to stay another year. But and according to Minguella, he was like, it was ready to go. But Bartomeu decided to go into the direction of Dembele. I say Bartomeu. It was reportedly Roberto Fernandez.
Okay, so you put basically. I mean, if that's on the table, then that's a good thing, good signing. So. There's more though. You have money left over. What else would you do? I'm curious. I like this exercise.
This is fun. Okay. So I got somebody in the front. I know that I have. I mean, again, it's hard because of course we have to rewind the clock. So.
Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot here. So I'll go over some of that. That summer actually had a lot of transfers that just did not.
What's the German kid from Bayern that just recently renewed his contract?
Well, that narrows it down. German kid from Bayern. I don't know.
The midfielder, Kimmich. Coño.
Oh, Kimmich. So here are some. Here are some of the transfers from that
several
season.
Of the City and Bayern players.
Lukaku went to Manchester United that season. Van Dijk to Liverpool.
Oh, I would have taken a Van Dijk. Yes,
it's a good one. Laporte to City.
Oh, that's a big one. I would have taken that. Laporte to City? No. I'm sticking with Van Dijk. So right now I got Mbappe and Van Dijk.
Kyle Walker to Manchester City. Who did you guys have as your right back then?
It wasn't. Alves was already gone, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Who was in right back? Was it Nelson Semedo? I think it was.
Well, maybe yes.
Semedo was maybe there.
Then you had. Yeah, I think it was Semedo. Semedo came in. He was definitely there in the 2018 season. So the next season would have been Semedo. Yeah, I must have been Semedo. I think those are the main ones. You also signed Paulinho that season, which is a fine role player.
We had Firpo, right? Junior Firpo as well in the wing backs.
So, anyways, interesting exercise. It's just you really got that summer wrong. That's all it was. And then you got everything wrong after that.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, you got everything wrong after that as well, for years. So,
well, Paulinho turned out to be good though. Take Paulinho out of your mouth.
No, that's what I said. I said Paulinho probably is one you'd probably do over again anyway, because he was a good role player. He surprised us all. He was the guy who we started to name things after Paulinho. The Paulinho was when a central midfielder bombs into the box from a deep midfield position and rushes in for a header and provides numerical superiority, and the defense is like, "Whoa, where did you come from?" Like Casemiro had a header like that season. We're like, "Hey, he pulled the Paulinho." Like the Paulinho was a thing. But yeah, I honestly, looking back now, Dembele, the reason why he didn't succeed was as a combination of health. That's the primary reason, and the secondary reason is the fact that he just was not disciplined enough to come to things on time and be integrated in the squad. Those two things were the main thing. The Coutinho one it was weird to me because I remember, and I think you and I actually recorded a podcast not long after his debut.
Yeah. No, we did.
And we felt like
we were doing this pod already.
Yeah. Wow, we've been doing the podcast since then. So I just remember that Coutinho's first game, I don't know if it was a preseason game or something like that. I remember we both watched him and we were like, hey, he looks like he's been here for years. He looks like he can play this style of play. He's got some nice, neat touches on the left side of midfield where Iniesta used to roam. And I'm surprised that didn't work out as better than
crazy,
initially.
Right? A football player with so much skill, so much ability, yet he really just. If you go back and sort of look at his career, it's he played at Espanyol, don't forget, and he didn't. That season with Liverpool, that famous season that obviously put him on the map, that breakout season you could call it, because before he was a very he played for Inter Milan as well, and he was a on and off player, like hit and miss, and it was that first season where he started to show consistency with obviously that fantastic Liverpool. And then, Liverpool did some great business, man. And talking about selling off an asset at its peak, and getting maximum return on something that then just plummets, man. And it's too bad because he's a good kid. He's a very nice guy. Humble and all. So, yeah, makes you wonder.
Breaking news as we're recording this podcast, Sevilla just signed Anthony Martial.
Oh, shit. They got it done. Oh, my. Wow. The bait. You know who's got this name all over it, right? This is another Monchi masterpiece. Another Monchi master move.
It's interesting to see how they use him, where they use him. He's been kind of... Yeah. He hasn't been able to succeed at Manchester United. He's only played 8 games this season. 10 if you include Champions League. Can they get production out of him? I'd be very curious. He's a really good passer and he's a pretty good dribbler. Maybe not a great goal scorer, and maybe he's not a great playmaker, but I'd be curious to know what Lopetegui used out of him. They know how to use wingers and attacking midfielders, so be curious. That's interesting. Yeah. I stand by it. I think this was, in terms of like, we always ask, like, at the beginning of the season, can Sevilla be at, like, in the title run in May? And I think if there's any season for them to be able to at least be in the conversation by the end of it, it's this season. Because, they have some continuity left over from last season. They didn't do a bunch of changes. They kind of know who they are now. They've had the same coach now for a couple of years. There's less turnover. I feel like I don't see why they can't, especially with signings like this that add some depth.
Yeah. No, totally agree.
What were your thoughts on, maybe you didn't see it, but put you on the spot here. What were your thoughts on Barca's reported interest as like one of the shortlist teams to want to take a chance on Aubamayeng, who's partying it up at a big nightclub over the international break or during the African.
Well, this rumor is so old. By the way, for somebody who started the pod and interrupted the pod, that we are only going to talk tactics, you're a lot of churros out of this bag today.
Boy, you got to fire in some churros, man.
We haven't even spoken about the Barca match yet. I'm
trying to avoid that. It was such a boring game.
It was that bad.
But we'll talk about it.
Well, this rumor has been around so long, it's lost sort of all credibility to me. I don't see it happening. I don't see, with everything that is kind of, like you mentioned, these kind of extra deportivo, these off the pitch matters. That you see also make the headlines certainly won't make him, I think, very attractive after having to ship off another player that was the most expensive player in Barca's history, and arguably the biggest flop as well, and is now with one foot out the door, being not a team player. All right.
Well, I guess as a Real Madrid fan, I was really hoping that you guys would lose your minds and sign him. It would remind me of like just a classic, just a classic Bartomeu signing. Just bringing in someone who used to play football but doesn't anymore. He's not really good at anything he used to be good at, and he's older. He's like a worse version of Memphis who doesn't even play. I was really excited. I was hoping you'd come in with some inside info and be like, "Yeah, we're really excited. It's gonna go down." But that's too bad. You broke my heart.
No.
Well, since you want to talk
what
about
is
Barca,
interesting? What is interesting is the latest Brazilian, the latest
the kid,
new kid on the block. The kid, right? Was he like? I think
Endrick.
He's still in his teens.
15.
Endrick, yeah. 15. All right. Well, obviously, whatever Barca do, Madrid got a copy. So now Madrid also in the Rias. I try to come out with these Caribbean. You notice sometimes I like to, and I know we have some Caribbean listeners, and some of you have to teach me. I know you appreciate the effort, or not. Tell me if you don't, then I'll stop doing it. Don't want to be insulting, but I do genuinely love
Drake run recently, where Drake tries to do like one accent from everywhere in the world in every different song he does. He does an Arab one. He does a reggaeton.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. I remember he was made fun of that. But anyways, man, I don't know. Not much else churros. Now, the game. Remember when I talked about, again, we talked about it on Friday, that the moral victories are only taken accepted. The moral victories are only accepted or taken. I don't know. Whatever verb you want to put after that. If the valued is good. The moral victories are only valued, and after, like I mentioned on the day as well, you see a continued progress. Call it, an ascending progress. And it's worrisome at this point, Kiyan, that we're seeing the opposite. So
So you feel there's been regression since the Real Madrid game?
Well, clearly. And I don't know what it's down to, this lack of intensity and lack of urgency, and I feel like these are all arguments and say criticisms that we've had for so long, and yet I'm still here reiterating and using the same adjectives and words and ways to describe what I think and see as the flaws of this team. Now, I'm far from being football intellect, philosopher, knowledgeable even. I mean, I'm just merely base it on eye test what I see throughout 90 minutes of football being played, and I base that on previous experience of me watching 90 minutes of football, and I don't understand why the passing has to be so lackluster, or call it safe, call it lacking in creativity, or simple playing urgency, as I mentioned, with the intent of moving forward, of building, of running into spaces, open spaces, trying to drag defenders with you, opening up spaces, whether it be in the middle or for the wingers for that matter, and you're not seeing any of that, and it does trouble. It does worry me as and as a lot of culés, as how this team will now walk into a month of February, as I mentioned at the top of the show, that is key, is crucial to the our survival in Europe. So the remainder of our seasons in the two competitions that were left, which is the Europa League and La Liga, and by that I mean qualifying obviously for the top four, and with an Atletico that is able to still have these epic remontadas, these comebacks, 3-2 against Sevilla. What a game that was. My God, going down 2-0, with Madrid that is still collecting points, that has a Real Sociedad, Real Madrid collecting points, and obviously just being unstoppable, at least in Spain. Villarreal, who are very good, well coached side that are clearly gunning for European spots. With the Real Sociedad, the same thing. I mean, Betis is, if anything, is my only doubt whether they can keep up the pace, because they're doing phenomenal. And big ups to Manuel
Betis
Pellegrini,
is the one I'm most worried about who would let you in the Champions League race.
Right.
I want to believe in them so bad. I want to just root for them so bad. But I just am skeptical. But I feel bad for being skeptical because they've been really good and really fun to watch. So I don't want to be skeptical. I'm just skeptical because
this is the Betis we've all been wanting to see for years, right?
Yeah. I think I'm just skeptical because the footballing history in Spain just tells me that Barcelona will find a way to get into the top four. It's very
well. I mean, if history tells you
otherwise.
anything, is that. Listen, Kiyan, if history and recent history, the last decade has told you anything, is that Barca is in unfamiliar territory. We're not in this situation very often. So normally,
well, that's what I mean, though.
Right.
I just feel like you won't be in that situation. You know what's funny?
Well, let's hope that we can turn around this season. That's my main concern. I can't imagine a season of having to play Europa League, and then just. But sometimes that's needed. I don't know.
Well, I'm looking at the league standings, and you say we're flying or picking up points. We're only 4 points ahead of Sevilla. We still have to play them one more time, and so many other things can happen in the rest of the season. Anything could happen. 4 points is nothing really in the grand scheme of things. Then you look at
it's Sevilla chasing you. So.
Well, then you look at the next third place Betis, who are 10 points behind, and then I start to this is just basically demons from the past and the history basically creeping up on me and giving me irrational.
Let it out.
When you look at Barca beating Alaves and then us dropping points against Elche, and we're like, oh shit, Barca gained 2 points on us. And then you look at the league standings and it's still 15-point gap. And you're like, oh, okay. Well,
you wake up and dream cold sweats at night. You're like, ah.
I just almost wonder,
you're 2 points behind us.
It really doesn't matter anymore, I don't think, what happens with Atletico and Barca with regards to us. I really think it's just us and Sevilla now. And I keep on looking at these result anytime Atletico or Barca won this weekend and we drop points, oh shit, they're gaining ground. But then you look at the standings and they're so far back. It's it doesn't even matter.
So far.
But what does matter is that we drop points against Elche and Sevilla. Well, Sevilla tied too, but Sevilla are right there, and that's what concerns me. Although you guys do have a game in hand each, so there's also that. Then when you guys play against each other, you'll take points off.
Well, we got to play Rayo Vallecano, who kicked our ass and fired our coach on it.
Hey man, some of these clubs they're just big team slayers though, and that's the
thing.
Yeah. Well, was there anything specific you wanted to talk about from the Alaves game?
No.
I can tell you, you guys have comfort on the ball, but you also just don't look like you're doing anything with it. And I think that's where...
Precisely. You just summed it up.
Well, the thing is, Barca, historically, possession for them has been just as much about defense as it has been about offense. It's a way of defense. It's keeping the ball, frustrating the opponent, taking the rhythm from their offense away, and also just, just that's your form of defense. It's a form of rest. You're not chasing the game. But I think in years past, that can work better when you have somebody who can also just give you the lead, so you can also start defending with possession. And that's where you miss the Ansus, where just a brilliant player who can give you some oomph offensive that you don't have in games like this although Ferran helps. But
I mean, it was only his second game, of course. And listen, so far, 2 games, 1 goal and 1 assist. Yeah. And sorry, is that right? No, sorry, 3 games. Of course, he played the Super Cup against Madrid as well. But there's future there. There's definitely something there, and I'm not going to point fingers at him. But and obviously we're playing with Abde, and the poor guy, he tries hard. I think he definitely has the work rate, the work effort. I thought he was, one of the best players on the day. I understand that why Xavi took him off. I think it was obviously for tactical reasons more than anything. Because for me, there were other players that looked quite gassed and tired. Pedri looked very tired. Now, obviously, he's also back since a long-term injury and needs to be eased in. And there's a difference between being fit, which all these players are, and match fit, right? And anyway, I mean, look, I'm not gonna single out any player, not today anyway. And
on Friday.
And but I will say that also the injuries, of course, don't help neither. I mean, again, Xavi is having to deal with long-term injuries. There's Ansu, there's now Eddie Garcia still out as well. There's Sergio Roberto. There's things, I mean, that's it. Fucking, I don't want to say anything else.
Patreon.com/Churros y Tácticas for where Diego replaces the curse words with inside info. What about I wanted to ask you about Riqui Puig. 4 games now he hasn't played. Did you think that he was going to be reintroduced with Xavi after Koeman, or do you think this is a sign that maybe he's not rated as highly as maybe Koeman was right? I mean, my analysis is still that I liked him every time I saw him play. So, right. But I know less about football than Xavi does. I've always liked. I just thought he's press resistant. He's a good dribbler. He's a good ball progressor. I liked him every time I saw him play. But there's something deeper there. What's going on? Is it really politics? Did he leak stuff? Can you say anything?
I don't know, man.
Okay.
No, I don't know.
But you're surprised that maybe he didn't get reintroduced, though.
Absolutely, I think. Well, I mean, everybody now, that's not even a topic anymore, at least for now. Feels like we've got bigger problems than fish to fry, and this one is, I think, yeah. I mean, honestly, obviously, I think the majority of culés thought that, as you say, he was going to be reintroduced to Xavi or the game and get more minutes, and that's clearly not the case. The reason behind it is nothing, to share other than I would love. Let's hear from Xavi, and he has been asked this question, and he's obviously very politically correct about it. There's no news neither about anything sketchy or he's a good kid, trains well, he will get his opportunities like everybody else, and lo que dice el mister es sagrado. His word is sacred, and like I said, nobody feels like discussing this for the moment anyway.
So I mean, La Liga was bonkers this weekend. You mentioned in passing the Atletico Valencia game, which was really crazy. I don't know, to me, when I was watching that one, I caught up on that early this morning. Actually, I didn't watch it until this morning. But what caught my eye on that one was that it was less about process for me. I didn't love Atletico the way they played. I mean, I think if you look at it, they started to really wake. It wasn't even halftime. People will say, second half, what was the halftime team talk? I thought it was later in the second half when they started to actually play with some urgency and start the remontada. But for me, that was and you can see this in Simeone's face by the time the third goal is scored. To me, it's just more of they needed something like that. they needed anything to just, because you know based on every report by every reputable source that like things are just not happy in the locker room. There's a little bit of a divide. You know, they just needed something like this, I think, to just spur them into some kind of psychological upward spiral that they absolutely need, because it's a lot of the season left still. I can't, like, Barca coming up, man. And then I always get so excited for Barca Atletico because it's like something's going to happen. I'm often disappointed, but what happened last time? That was a good game, right? Did Atletico beat you?
Yes.
They also need to beat Manchester United in the Champions League as well. It would be, to me, would be embarrassing to lose to that Manchester United team. But the only reason I would give Manchester United an edge is because of your favorite player, Cristiano Ronaldo. But yeah, so they just need something to kick them in the ass. And I think that comeback against Valencia, from a psychological perspective, more than the actual performance itself, I thought was super important.
Yeah, it was a big one, and unexpected, quite frankly, because Sevilla looked really nice and comfortable in that game with what's the American Yusuf? No, not Yusuf.
Musa.
¿Cómo se llama? Musa.
Yeah.
Coño. You know, great goal, and they look comfortable. I mean, at the end of the first half, I was thinking, wow, this is going to be big for Cholo to lose this one against Valencia, 2-0 down at the half in front of his home crowd, and then to see, you know, them turn this around. In particular, with the changes, I think the substitutions were, you know, surprising to say the least. Joao Felix for Felipe was a head scratcher, you know, no doubt about it. The fact that he is, of course, allowing or putting in a defender and taking off a forward turned out to be the right solution. And I could never imagine a change like that with the game on the line, so crucial and so big,
and the
in
fans
magnitude
booted
in these two clubs, and the fans booted. I mean, this in the Camp Nou would have been, you know, over, but it turned out to be not just the right choice, the best choice. And as he described himself, you know, having Cunha, of course, one more man in the area, and also talking about Mario Hermoso and his like bravery down the lines and stuff, and the ball also generating a whole lot of play, right? That's what I mean. I mean, for so often, you know, it's so easy for us to make the judgments and base a coach's decision on a change just for what we observe, right? Hey, like we're seeing go out forward and the defender come in. Yet what the managers, what the coaches see is all this other, you know, how this can impact an entire team and game and change up the strategy and quite honestly throw off the opponents as well. Sometimes it works and then you're hailed, and then sometimes it doesn't, and you're left having to defend yourself while receiving all the criticisms rather of not just journalists but fans alike. So football's funny like that. I try to, of course, stay away, or well, what we do in this pod is talk about football, but it's moments like that where I wonder, you know, who am I to sit here and judge what these people do on a weekly basis? They spend hours on end, you know, figuring things out. At the end of the day, they want the exact same thing as all of us, or all fans of each football club, and that is to win games. And they're not gonna, you know, they'll do what they think is best, and they're in the best position to judge what is best, of course. So I was happy for Simeone. That's it.
I love when things like that work out. I love when managers do something based on instinct, based on something that they've seen that totally goes against the grain. It doesn't really make sense to the mainstream eye. He gets criticized heavily for it in the moment, even by his own fans. Yeah. And then it just works, and he was right. I love when stuff like that happens, because it just feels like yes, you're rewarded for just understanding the game and having faith in yourself. Yeah. And, you know, I like that. So, and this is, you know, it makes sense. Like his explanation was very sound after the game and said, with Felipe, we were trying to watch out for counters when we were going all out. I mean, how many times have you seen teams press for a comeback and they're down by a couple goals and they put the entire kitchen sink in there, and they create a good chance, but then there's no one defending a counter and they concede a breakaway, and that easily turns into 3-0 instead of 2-1, you know? So good for him. You know, I think that's awesome. I'm really happy that worked out. I just love when little things like that happen.
For sure. And he deserves it, because I'm a Cholo fan. I'm not, you know, I support Diego Simeone. You know that. Are you a Cholo supporter?
I've never had
Cholismo? Do you believe in Cholismo?
Yeah, I believe that. I actually really believe he should go back to what was working years ago, when he was trying to be more offensive, and he's leaving more space now because he feels like, because he has all this attacking talent, he should deviate and change his style of play. I think he should go back to like the 2014-2015 blueprint, where they were just unstoppable because their defense was so incredible. And they have good counterattacking players now that can help them do that. But he's grown on me over the years. I think the turning point for me with Simeone was that after that Champions League final in 2016, I think it was, that we won, or was it? Yeah, it must have been 2016. The penalty shot against Atletico, the second time we played them. Mm-hmm. And there was some stuff that happened in extra time that I can't remember. I think one of our goals was controversial. Atletico had some chances they didn't convert on. And
of course,
shush. And then after the game, he didn't complain, and he was like, "Whoever wins in football deserves to win. That's it. We deserve to lose. They deserve to win, because that's what happened." After that, he really grew on me with that comment, and you kind of look at the patterns. He's been pretty graceful in defeat over the years, generally speaking. And
he's consistent in that sense.
Yeah. So
even when he's pissed off.
Yeah, even when he's pissed off, he keeps his take that, you know, it is what it is. He's not a complainer. Whereas I used to get annoyed a lot by the one thing that I did get annoyed about him a lot was he would always complain that, like, you know, he would play the victim card that Atletico can't compete with Real and Barca because of the budget, and they have all this money. But then you look at their transfer spending, and they're just like blowing cash left, right, and center, like even more than us. So that kind of
and he's helped build that, in all honesty. I mean, Atletico is the third, you know, big one, and they are I say they are right now. I think Barca is in a bigger financial trouble than Atletico is, but they certainly have been, you know, not as financially, say, lucrative or successful, and the budget for Barca and Madrid, of course, has been historically a lot bigger than Atletico. That is not, you know, that's factual. I mean, that's no lie.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that Atletico is not you know, a market mover and can't make their things and moves in the market and make big things happen. And like I said, Cholo has been part of that, because of course he's made that project and those signings successful, and winning 2 league titles, Champions League finals, and just being ultra competitive.
All right, well, I think I'm going to do some work, and
let's go, man.
You change some diapers.
Live other families.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. You know.
So, listeners, if you want the more raw version of the churros, go over to patreon.com/Churros y Tácticas. Diego and I will be back on Friday, where he's going to spill some beans, and we can probably preview Barca Atletico and whatever else drama happens midweek, because we got some days now without games, I think.
Yeah.
Although there's always one.
Yeah, it's the international break.
Yeah. So yeah, let's reconvene on Friday.
Saying international games, also internationally, not a whole lot going on. So, yeah.
The games usually on the international break, start on the Thursday, I think. So we have a couple days here where we don't. Yeah, there's not that much. Although I haven't checked the schedule, so I don't know. But yeah, we'll be back on Friday. Thanks, Diego. Appreciate your time.
Peace.
Talk soon, my friend. Peace.
Likewise. Ciao, ciao.